Awesome. Hey, good to see you, Phillip. Welcome. Now, we met 2 weeks ago. I was super impressed with what you're doing. You are living in a... oh, here, this is for your phone.
Awesome.
You're living in one of those developer houses that we see on Silicon Valley. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are extremely startup-y. Yeah. Some people call us like super stereotype startup, Silicon Valley.
So you came from... Were you in Berlin or Munich?
I was born in Kiel, which is a small town close to Hamburg, back in Germany. And then I went to high school in Scotland, and then moved to Barcelona, and now I'm in the Valley.
And you moved to the Valley and literally moved into one of these developer houses?
Yeah.
And how many people are you living with in that developer house?
So it's 2 startups right now there. And most of them are us, so we're a team of 6, and 3 of us are living in the Black Box, which is a developer house you're talking about.
Black Box, is it?
Black Box, yeah.
And do you have like an Ehrlich kind of character from Silicon Valley in the house who takes credit for everything you do and takes mushrooms, name your company?
So Fadi is the founder of Black Box, and he was kind of helpful to us as we all from overseas, so he made the first introductions for us, and so this is how we got things started.
So that TV show is accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And the name of the company is Downtown.
Downtown, yeah.
And did you had to take mushrooms to come up with that name, or no?
So this started actually in a conversation with one of our early investors and mentors, Keith Steer, co-founder of TechCrunch. And what Keith always told us, Americans love names that are like super descriptive, no matter if it's like a waterfall street or something. And I was like, well, what we are doing is like local commerce, local payments, and that's downtown, right?
Great, perfect, let's see it.
And so that's a spot-on name, I think. So
that was a joke, by the way. I just love Germans. Let's pull the screen up.
Is it up?
Let's try putting the screen up one more time. Okay, there it is, boom. Let's pull his screen up, boom, okay.
So to give you some context, what Downtown is doing, we're really focused about decentralizing the point of sale by leveraging on iBeacons. And what we do is we distribute the point of sale onto customer mobile devices. We have 2 applications, the orange one, which is for customers, and it's a general app, so that works no matter what store you're walking in. To give a little bit more background, our go-to-market is about food service, so restaurants. And then we have the blue one, which is for the merchant itself. So for the customer, it looks like this. I created like a fake restaurant like Jason Cafe, and I have like my restaurants out here. But first, let's switch to the merchant app actually, and like set up the restaurant as it would be with beacons. So these are our beacons here, and we use beacons on 2 levels, on a store level as well as on a table level for restaurants. So this is a micro-location level. And let's start setting up the beacons. So if I can have the one for the store, that's this one. What a store owner would do, he would attach the beacon to his phone, as you can see, and then he says, add beacon, looking for beacon, and then he can assign a name to the beacon. Let's say this is the store beacon.
And now in this beacon is Bluetooth.
Yeah, so what we get is we get the hardware delivered by SD-Mode for the beacons, and then we have them in our own branded housings.
Great.
If people can stop following my Twitter account for a second, because I'm sorry, my notifications is like, I can't stop it. So
hopefully Tinder notifications don't stop coming in.
Oh. Not sure. New York is going really well for that.
Yeah, New York's going well on Tinder?
Yeah, super well. Totally.
You're awesome. Wow, I could just talk to you all day.
So table 1. So let's now switch back to the table beacon. So this is area beacons, micro-location. And now we add a table beacon. So let's say this is Jason's table here. Well, let's see. It's for some reason that's already synced. That give me another one. Give me that one.
And so setting up beacons is easy is the point here.
So yeah, so super easy. You would just attach it to your phone and ask you what beacon it is. So let's say this is on stage table.
Right. So this would be a table in a restaurant, like
exactly.
table
this would be
1 or something. You crashed. Yeah, just reload it again. Don't worry. It happens. It's a live demo. And so a restaurant would get one for the store and then one for every table. You set them up.
So now it's on stage. So
okay.
let's put this one here. And so this one was the one we synced for the store. So this would be something, can you hold this for a second?
Yeah, of course, I got you.
So this would be something that would be attached to like the store entry or somewhere, so it needs to be a little bit away from those beacons. And now let's switch to the customer app, how a customer would experience when he's walking into a restaurant. And let me just kill the app and start it again.
Now, what's the range of these? Is it like a specific range, 10?
So you saw the orange bar coming down. So now I'm in the restaurant. So it understands that I'm in the restaurant in Jason's Cafe. And the moment I...
Oh, so it says welcome because we have the beacons here.
We have the beacons here, right? Before, when I just showed the customer app before, it didn't show that because we didn't have the beacons synced, right? So now I click on this and I see the menu card for Jason's Cafe. Right? How cool is this? And let's say you like the flatbread. Let's go for the flatbread. And yeah.
Don't worry about it.
People like my Twitter. So then I add the flatbread. And if you look in the top right, it says on stage, right? Because we are sitting on the on stage table. So it understands where we are sitting. And then as a customer.
So it's not going to make a mistake.
Say again?
It's not going to make a mistake based on the table.
It's not going to make a mistake on the table. So
even if they're right next to each other. I mean, sometimes you're right next to each other.
So I actually would love to demo this when we have like multiple tables next to each other. But as I'm like, I cannot move around right now. But when I showed you, when we met in San Francisco, I showed you like you can move around. And so this is as on the table level, it's as accurate as like 2 or 3 inches, right?
2 or 3 inches.
So if you're closer to your table, like by 2 or 3 inches than to another table, it will find your table instead of the other table.
So it's extremely accurate. And these cost 30 or 40 bucks.
These cost $30 right now. But the prices are really dropping down about beacons. I mean, actually for our latest order, it was more close to 25 bucks. And
it'll eventually be 10 bucks.
It will even lower. So I think it eventually will be probably $1 or $2.
So setting up a 50-table restaurant is going to cost less than 100 bucks, probably.
Yeah.
200 bucks.
Yeah, I mean, when we started for us, like, it's just maybe a little bit technology focused. It's like, what method do you go for? Do you like triangulate things and by this like find the location of a user in a restaurant, or do you kind of brute force it with like beacons in a store and just put a beacon on every table? And for us, this was a no-brainer because we believe that the price per beacon is just dropping dramatically in the future. So there will be just, if you walk in a retail store or a restaurant, there will be just beacons everywhere.
Gotcha.
So I just placed the order, and as we would switch to the merchant, to orders, I hope so. Yeah, so he just got my order here, like the flatbread I ordered for Jason. And so what else do we have here? The merchant can upload his products in here so I can like take a photo and say like, this is the cup. So this is what a merchant can do. So eventually he can do it all with a phone, add a description, and all the cool things.
So they can basically set up Uber for their restaurant.
Exactly, yeah.
In an hour or two?
Even less. I mean, what you saw how fast it is to sync a beacon to the app, right? So if you think about a restaurant that has like 30 or to 40 tables, which is like the average for like a coffee shop of the restaurants we're talking to. So syncing a beacon takes probably like 1 minute, like also then these are getting stuck under the table. And then in like putting the products in takes maybe a little bit longer, but I guess like 2 hours and you're done.
And so this is outside of the POS system that exists already.
Yeah.
So do you see this being something that they add to restaurants or that replaces the existing POS system and you just sort of go full downtown? Yeah,
so I mean, if you look in Silicon Valley right now, you have 2 companies doing incredible well dealing with restaurants. So one is DoorDash, and DoorDash is about delivery, right? So you're back home, you want food from a restaurant, and they do the delivery part. They are like already an external like POS or a second POS in the restaurant. Then you have Order Ahead. Order Ahead is when you want to eat out for takeaway, and you make the purchase decision maybe like 2 or 3 hours before, and you order your food for takeout. And what we want to be is like the fast line when you consume inside the restaurant, right?
And you're in the Life Kitchen right now, which is the
really
healthy restaurant in Palo Alto chain done by the former CEO or president of
Yeah,
McDonald's.
of McDonald's. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can go get like incredible kale salads
Yeah.
or whatever. So you're testing that privately in the Palo Alto branch. How is that test going?
So we are actually not just testing in live kitchen. So we're testing about, like right now it's 4 restaurants around Palo Alto. We're doing our private beta testing there. And it's for us learning on 2 sides. One side is like understanding how a small business is run or how local commerce works, as well as then understanding how customers interact with like this new experience about Beacon. So what we are doing here is we are actually kind of reinventing or updating how people buy from brick and mortar stores in long term, if you think about that. There's no need that you need to go to the counter or to the checkout any longer. You can just do it all from your phone, and that's kind of a change in user behavior, right? So we need to make sure that we educate user about that, as well as that we understand how can we set certain triggers that it's easier for users to adapt to
When
this
people
new
are
user
using
experience.
this in the restaurant, do you find they order like sort of piecemeal, you know, like, oh, let's order 2 dishes, let's order another 2 dishes, let's order 1 dish, or do they put a full order in? Because, you know, like, there's those restaurants that kind of put pressure on you, like, I need your appetizer order and your dinner order right now.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to let you just order appetizers and then wait. We want the whole order now. So are people ordering, like, I'm just going to order 3 appetizers, then we'll see if we're hungry?
So our go-to-market, or what we see right now, what's really where we are really adding most of the value for the customer is about skipping the line, right? For lunch, you're busy. You do not. If you talk about a live kitchen, for example, in Palo Alto, you have this like 20-minute line, or even at a Coupa cafe, right? People queuing up for 10, 15, 20 minutes. With our technology, you can just go straight to the table and order from your table, right? How cool is that? And then the other thing is like add-on orders, right? If you go to one of these restaurants, you order at the counter, you have your great sandwich, and then you're still hungry, and you want to have one more salad, or you want to have one more Coke or a nice cake as a dessert. Well, you would have to queue up again, right? And
so do you think
people
that
don't do that, and
more? Do you think it incents more ordering, or does it make people order more judiciously? Like, do they order more conservatively in the data right now, or do they order more?
They order more, I would say. So they actually order more, and especially for the add-on orders, because it's just so easy to add like 1 more cake or 1 more coffee, and you do not have to go back in line, right?
What does it do in terms of efficiency to take out half of the, you know, server's time? Because taking the order is probably twice as long as bringing it. So maybe it's 2/3 of the server's time is wiped out here. What is that going to do? Are restaurants going to have just 1/3 as many servers, so they save a ton of money?
So that's probably more long term, right? I mean, it's like for them, it's like the added value to the restaurant is really like we are increasing efficiency, and on the other side, so they have more orders coming through in a shorter amount of time. And on the other side, this is more of a long term. We are decreasing labor costs, right? You need less waiting staff because it's automated.
And what do you charge? Because you're collecting the money. So I put my credit card in once, like Uber, and I simply order at any restaurant that supports this, and I don't have to take my credit card out. And can I set like my tip amount, or do I do that as you go?
Yeah, maybe let's go back. I mean,
can I just set it like once? I want to give 25% and I'm done?
So if you go, it's back on, yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's on.
So here, like, I can select the tab. How much do I want to tip? Like 10, 15?
Wait, tops out at 30%? What if you want to give more?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm from Europe. We don't give that much tip.
I was about to make a German joke, and you just stole it from me.
Yeah, and then went to school.
How many people would like to use a system like this? How many people would like to use it? How many people are not interested in something like this? They prefer the old way of doing it. Like, interesting. Yeah, so.
Pretty good quota, right?
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating. What is the big objection you get? And by the way, if you have questions, just do a tweet to Launch Beacon, and we'll put you up there, or we're going to run a microphone. What are the objections you get when you go to a restaurant with this technology?
From the restaurant point of view, or from?
Yeah. I mean, not every restaurant you've gone to has installed it, or have they said no ever?
So, I mean, yeah, if you integrate or you sell such a new technology, you run into many restaurants and they say, well, let's wait, let's look for another. And so
what is their reason? What are the reasons they object to putting it in today?
So one is like we want to keep personal interaction, right? So that's like one of the things. Like they are kind of afraid by automating it too much that this kind of personal level is getting lost. And this is something why we, for example, will not go in the beginning into like more premium places where the waiting experience or the waiter coming to your table, maybe getting a recommendation is core or a key part of the overall experience. So that's why you more see us getting into like coffee shops or sandwich bars where people just want to grab something quick, sit down and consume.
And any other objections? What other objections do you get?
Privacy. I mean, beacons is something very new, so people or it's like small merchants, they are not really familiar with the technology, so they're like, what are the privacy issues with
so they're aware that there are privacy issues.
So they are aware, or they actually believe it's like kind of bad, or some of them do, and then we explain them, no, there's actually nothing really bad going on here, right?
Yeah,
it's
we're
like,
just tracking you within 2 inches.
Exactly, right.
What could go wrong?
How could go wrong? Yeah.
But in all seriousness, how much information do you have on the person? Because when I connect to this over Bluetooth, LE, it uses Bluetooth, correct? Low energy. You have the ID of my phone, so you know I've come back to the restaurant, how many times I've come back, how long I stayed.
Yeah.
And then if I pay the bill, you have my name connected to my credit card. Do you give my name plus my habits to the restaurant? Because I'm sure they would love to know how many times, you know, Susan or Jason have been to the restaurant and how much their ticket order is. I'm sure I don't want them to know that in some cases.
You're actually surprised the restaurants are not interested in that. And we believed in the beginning this was one of the core values we could bring to a restaurant. But what we learned by dealing on a daily basis with like local commerce or brick and mortar stores is most of them care about is having more cash on the bank account end of the week, right? So that's really what they care most of them. What we will do on our end, and that's actually more providing value to the customer, is by analyzing your user behavior or your food consumption, the menu is kind of getting personalized and curated, right? And this is, if you look around on mobile apps and mobile content in general, I think there's one mega trend, and that's like personalized, curated content, right? You have a limited screen size. You do not want to see junk, right? That's not relevant to you. So if you're, for example, Muslim and you go in a restaurant and you just eat halal, there's no reason why you should see pork on the menu card. It's just not relevant for you, right? So this is all the things which we will eventually learn. That's way more into the future, but.
Well, that's fascinating. So if I'm a vegan or a pescatarian, I could put that into downtown and it would show me which restaurants have the most possibilities for me.
Yeah, or if you walk in a regular restaurant, we would just show you the vegan dishes, right? There's no reason why you should see like a nice steak or something. You're not gonna eat it anyway. All
right, let's take a question from the audience. Now you collect the money and take 5%, is that right?
Yeah, 3.5 to 5.5%. 3.5 to 5.5%, depending on the volume of
depending on volume, and
we're shipping.
That includes the merchant fees. So 1.5 to 3% of that you don't get. So you're actually netting more like 2%.
Yeah.
Or 3%, is that right?
Yeah.
What's your model, 2%, 3%?
For the credit card fees?
After credit card fees, what do you want to net?
So, yeah, that's like, so credit card fees for us are about 3%, and then, so it's like a 0.5 or like 2% on top of that.
Okay, so if you average 1 or 2 points, you're happy?
Yeah, I mean, for us right now, it's not about like making this crazy profitable for us. It's like getting the infrastructure out. Like, and that's one of the reasons why we give beacons out for free, right? Because we believe once we build this infrastructure in all these places, it's very difficult for any other company to get in there, right? So we are interested in growing fast and putting our infrastructure first. That's one of the things, and then we are in the position to build a business model on top of that.
Great question from the audience.
Yeah, so my name is Jan Tarsky, I'm from Toronto. First of all, I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. My question to you is, do you connect to the merchant's POS system, or do you bypass that with your own type of system?
So we are building it's kind of, on the merchant side, it's kind of a separate POS, right? And just to give you a little bit more information, so we have some merchants for like accounting purposes or bookkeeping purposes, they re-enter the data in their main POS, and others just keep it in our system and are just happy by receiving the money on their bank account and having like a Excel sheet or QuickBooks sheet of us, which they can integrate in their whatever they're using for accounting.
So like Uber, you pay them every 3, 4, 5 days?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's important, paying them quickly?
Yeah, Yeah.
So I have a second part of that. So I'm not sure if your target market you're planning on going to. Right now you said it's more local size, like sandwich shops and smaller merchants. But if you decide to move up a little bit into the higher end where they have big chains, do you think it's going to be a big issue for you because they're going to have to, as you said, put it into their own accounting system? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, so what we focus on in the beginning is like really the small high street stores you can think about. And then the next level probably at some stage will be to onboard like bigger chains, let's say like a Pete's Coffee or maybe a Starbucks at some stage. And then it's kind of key account customers, and then it makes sense to integrate into their POS.
So it's just the cost and time. Let's take another question. From Murph, who actually works with a lot of the great restaurants in Los Angeles. Hey, Murph.
I also think it's a great idea. I have two questions. How do you make it specific, like I want a sandwich without mayonnaise or I want an omelet well done when you're ordering?
I didn't get that.
When you're ordering, like if you wanted no mayo or you want your steak well done versus medium.
Oh yeah, so there's, if we can switch back to the app for 1 second, I can actually show you. So what you see on this...
you can pull up his phone. Thank you.
So what you see on this, oh, there we go. So for the flatbread, there's one option which is like the sides, right? So I can have like pommes frites, potatoes, or salad, right? And you could have this like, how do you want to have your steak cooked, right? So this is all. Let's switch back to the merchant app. If I set up, so here the merchant set up the sides, right? I could open a new category which is like, how do you want to have your steak cooked? Like, so the merchant can customize this as detailed as they want to have it, right?
Yeah, this should be just a generalized notes field too. If I just want to give notes like, you know, I'm low carb, please substitute, you know.
Yeah, or additional information. Don't put any spices on it. Or,
Can you use it just to call a waiter to the table to get somebody to come over, like a bell? Like I want to just request a server?
That might be actually one of the features we want to integrate at some stage. Yeah. So.
Go ahead, Murph.
Yeah, I have one more. So how does, if half the lines sits down to order and doesn't stay in the line, how does the kitchen calibrate all that demand coming at them at the same time and try to get all the orders out on a timely basis?
Amazing question, yeah, and that's exactly what we came across. So the more we talk to restaurants, it's like, they were like, well, we actually need this queue for some reasons because otherwise we're just shifting the bottleneck to the kitchen. And we learned things like they actually take one person off the counter at the POS just to make it slower so the kitchen can catch up for some of the restaurants. And the reason for our solution for that will be surge pricing at some stage, right? So by this we can like control demand in restaurants, right? Like Uber is, for example, doing for taxis. And I believe that we will see dynamic pricing in more verticals around local commerce over the future because that's just the only way we can guarantee fast supply, right? That's the only way you can do it.
Could you possibly put in a wait time the way Uber does, where it just says estimated time?
Yes.
Okay. And can you put in like what stage your order is in? So if I said order received, or order being prepared, or whatever.
Yeah, all these things, like you can see right now, my food is getting processed in the kitchen, and now it's on the way to your table. All these things, or even before, which is even more important, probably when imagine you're going out for lunch break, you just left your office, and then most of the people make the decision with their colleagues together, where do we go today for lunch, right? So in our app, you could then see like, okay, coffee shop A has like waiting line of 10 minutes, the other one is just 2 minutes. So all these things, like you could see where you can get your lunch the fastest, for example.
Okay.
We got one here.
Oh, I'm sorry, you have one question here. What was the question?
We had one here first.
Oh, totally.
It's a great question. Let me repeat it for the online audience. Yeah. Okay, so there were two questions. One, can multiple phones connect to one beacon? And two, if I'm vegan, and do I pass the phone around and then the people who eat steak have to touch it? Or do the people who are, obviously, who have set it to not show the steaks and don't see it? Good question.
To answer the first question, yeah, you can have multiple phones connected to one beacon. And that's kind of actually solving the question, the second question, right? There's no need for you to pass your phone around because everyone is going to order from his phone. Yeah.
My phone regardless.
Or you put it in for her. You order for mom.
But then there's still the issue of if it's getting personalized.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but that will be probably an outlier, right? So as when you build an algorithm, this at some stage, this is like outliers. Yeah.
Or more interestingly, if you had 4 people at a table and we all put our orders in, now the kitchen gets 4 tickets, and if 4 tables do that, now you have 16 tickets, and then the person in the kitchen's got to take all 4 from table 1, all 4 from table 2.
Yeah, but we can bundle them, right? We know from
Oh,
what
you
table,
can bundle it on the
we
back
know
end.
from what table they're coming and what was the order time, so we can easily bundle them.
Okay, great. Let's take a final question, and then we'll keep the program moving.
If a restaurant has their own app, are you forcing them to download your app, or are you making an SDK available for other franchises and restaurants?
Great question.
It's our own app, right? And we faced, this was one of the key decisions we had to make in the very beginning of Downtown, is do we want to have our technology distributed as a white label product, or do we want to build like a global marketplace for local commerce at some stage? And for us it was, if we want to build a company that is that's providing a great product to the consumer, it's going to be one solution, right? Just think about, you would have an app for every single high street store. Well, on your iPhone, you would like swipe like that because you have so many apps on your phone. So we believe there's no reason to have single apps for all these stores. Just like put them all in one.
Well, it'd be like Uber having like carry car service or music car service or whatever.
Or having an app for every driver, right? That's like.
Yeah. But if you did have a chain that was big enough and you could order from both, like Coffee Bean or Starbucks, like they very much would want to have their own experience for obvious reasons. You could power it and still have a dedicated one where either I could order my Frappuccino to table 2 in in Downtown, or I could order it in the Starbucks app.
Yeah.
Would you be open to that?
We already actually had two coffee shop chains asking us to kind of provide this as a white label to them, and we said no. And because this is maybe now because we are early stage, but we do not want to dilute our product by doing that.
Oh, so you said no to Phil's.
Yeah.
That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
All right. You said no to Phil? Really? Wow. All right. It's a brave thing to do. I'm joking. It's probably the right thing to do for you. All right, let's hear it for Downtown. Fascinating, huh? All right. You did great. Well done.